I'm going to be reacting to a video that I uploaded recently called Teens Outsmart and Eat Mackies in Front of Vegan. There was a lot of different talking points and things that I didn't quite get to address then and there. So yeah, I thought I'd come on and do a reaction video and go through some of those things. So let's get straight into it. Not bothered. What about if it was you in that position?
Well, no one's going to eat us. Yeah, no one's cannibal as well.
Yeah, some people are. Send you around.
It's hypothetical.
But hypothetically, no one's going to eat me. Someone let them. They can't like defend themselves. So what about animals eating meat? Are they allowed to? Like dogs eating?
So I came out of one conversation and I went straight into this one. And I often do that when I'm doing outreach because I'm only there for a set amount of time to speak out for the animals. So my time is limited. So I kind of jump from one to the other, which can be good in a way. It doesn't give you time to preempt what might happen in this conversation or judge what people may respond with, because I think it is very easy when you're doing outreach, when you see like a group, especially a group of teenagers, and you think, do I really want to go over? They might be trolls. But often I've gone over and they've been really polite and respectful, and we've had a really good conversation. And obviously, you know, you shouldn't judge people just because of like their age demographics and perhaps like their gender, because not every group of teenage boys or girls are going to be trolls, but then most trolls do happen to be teenage boys around this kind of age group. So yeah, I just went straight into the conversation and it missed the start bit out. But basically, I asked them what they thought about the footage that we were showing, and they responded with, not bothered. I don't quite believe that is the case because most humans have empathy. It's one of our core human values. And I think a lot of the time, especially insecure men or young lads who aren't quite confident within themselves, they think that that's a sign of weakness. But it's actually the opposite, because the men who aren't afraid of what other people think, that's far more manly than trying to pretend that you don't have these emotions just so you can fit in. I think in order to lack empathy, you have to be some kind of psychopath, because they don't have these feelings of empathy towards other beings, and they're not really that common. So I don't believe that these guys are psychopaths. I just think they're being a bit disingenuous and they're not really too sure of themselves and they don't want to admit that they have that. So yeah, I don't believe that, but rather than challenge that, I chose to question, well, what if it was you in their position? Because you don't need to necessarily have that empathy for non-human animals in order to be vegan. You just need to understand that it's not nice for them and you wouldn't like it if you were in their position. Obviously, they were being a bit disingenuous, and I think the first couple of minutes in the conversation, they're going to be the toughest because everybody's trying to be the dominant one and speak over each other and just shouting out questions. You're never going to be able to address every single objection, but I don't think that's necessarily important as long as you've got them thinking about some things. So yeah, you will miss out points, and this is why I wanted to come on here and do this video.
Well, dogs don't have to. They're on the whole
What healthy is for a dog to be vegan? Yeah, but what about certain animals that need meat to survive? Yeah. So a bear, eat fish.
I don't think that that's a good reason for us to do it.
Yeah, I'm vegan.
But the thing is, he is. We're mammals.
Oh.
Yeah, he is.
We're mammals as well, though. That's the thing. Yeah. But we need food to survive.
Okay, so in terms of what he said, do you know how unhealthy it is for dogs to be vegan? This kind of indicates that he has a misunderstanding of what veganism actually is. And a lot of people have this misunderstanding. If you are vegan and you refer to your dog or your companion animal as being vegan, I would strongly urge you to reconsider your choice of words, because you're feeding into this narrative by doing so. Reducing veganism to a diet. It's a moral stance. It's an ethical principle. And only humans can have that. Non-human animals, they can't hold that ethical principle, or at least they can't tell us that they hold that. Dogs can absolutely be plant-based. As long as they're getting all of their essential nutrients, then yeah, they can absolutely thrive Was it really worth addressing that in this conversation? Maybe not, because he's not even vegan himself. So why would I argue if dogs can or can't be plant-based if he won't even be plant-based? But then he kind of changed the question anyway. Well, what if it was a bear? Let's carry on.
Yeah. But we need food to survive. We need meat. It has protein and it has loads of different things in it.
If you're saying that we need meat to survive, then how am I here?
Yeah, but theoretically, all of us here are probably more healthy than you.
Why?
I like protein. I'll go to the gym.
Because the nutrition, we have nutritional value. We have protein as well.
Don't you think we can get protein from plants?
Yeah, but you like loads of major vitamins. Yeah, the red meat has.
Like what?
Vitamin.
So what I'm doing here is I'm lowering my tone and speaking very quietly, and I'm not reacting with any emotion because they're being quite erratic, shouting questions, being quite loud, speaking over each other. If they're gonna have a conversation with me, they're gonna have to bring themselves down to this level. They're gonna have to stop and actually listen to what I'm saying. If I raise my voice and try and shout over them and speak over them, it's just going to turn into a bit of a shouting match, and no one's going to be listening to what anyone else is saying. It's going to be a bit of a battle in terms of who can win the argument instead of focusing on what the actual subject is. I think it's also funny how he said all of us here are probably more healthy than you when his friend has just said that he's vegan. Obviously that's not a statement that you can make unless you compared my bloods with their bloods and did some health checks and comparison. It doesn't mean anything. When it comes to health, it's good to have this knowledge in terms of knowing the basics, but the only things that you really need to know if you're speaking out for the animals is that we can, as a species, absolutely survive and thrive on a plant-based diet, that it can be healthy and nutritious for all stages of life. Nobody's denying the fact that you probably can be healthier on an omnivore diet than a plant-based diet. If your plant-based diet consists of a lot of processed foods, junk foods, and your omnivore diet consists of a lot of whole foods and a small amount of animal products, then you're probably going to be healthier. There's no denying that. But to me, it's kind of irrelevant because it's about the actual victim themselves. And if that animal was a human being, no way would we be saying to these people, well, you can be really healthy. We'd say, stop killing all of these other people. Even if an omnivore diet or a carnivore diet was healthier than the most optimal plant-based diet there was, I still wouldn't think it's a good reason to subject animals to exploitation and to kill them, in the same way that I wouldn't think that it's okay to subject human beings to that, even if by eating a certain race of human being it gave us immortality and it gave us certain superpowers. I still wouldn't think that that was justified, because that's requiring them to lose their freedom and their lives, and that's not fair on them. So I kind of see the whole health argument as a bit of it's a bit irrelevant, to be honest. If we can get all of the nutrients that our body needs by eating a plant-based diet, why would we exploit, abuse, enslave, rape and kill animals? Let's carry on.
Like what?
Vitamin B12, B6.
You don't think we can get them as vegans?
Well, yeah, but it's supplements and much that gets pissed out anyway.
Exactly.
Science disagrees with you there.
Well, it doesn't, because there's multiple studies saying so.
No,
I love that he's far.
studies that prove otherwise.
No, the WHO did a study, and vegans actually lack a lot of vital vitamins.
Vegans do.
Yeah.
I mean, most supplements are targeted towards non-vegans. So anybody can be
with deficiencies though.
anybody can be nutrient deficient.
So
It depends what you
Why do
eat.
it by
Like,
choice?
So I'm not sure what his point was there. That's because of deficiencies, though. So he's basically admitting that anybody can be deficient, even non-vegans, which is what I'm saying anyway. When people say oh, a vegan diet is so unhealthy, it makes no sense, because it's like, well, what vegan diet? A vegan diet can consist of so many different things. It can come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. It's just a diet that is devoid of animal products. Nobody's denying that you can be deficient as a vegan. I'm not sure what the study is that he's referring to, but to me, it's irrelevant because we already know that you can survive and thrive on a plant-based diet. Those people who were lacking vitamins or whatever he said, we know that they can get them. And in regards to what he said about supplements, most of it gets pissed out anyway. So your body will naturally get rid of anything that you don't need. So if you are taking an excess of a certain vitamin, your body will get rid of those in various different forms. If your body needs them, then your body will use them. I love how his friends like saying, yeah, exactly, which is it's kind of like confirmation bias. I don't actually think he knows what his friend's talking about, but because it kind of fits with his own narrative, he's saying, yeah, exactly, without even needing to fact check them, which is something that often happens in societies. They'll just hear something that fits their narrative and what they want to believe is true, and they'll just run with it.
You can't, yeah, your choice.
Yeah, so question, would you find it a problem if I eat meat?
Yeah.
Would I have a problem?
Yeah, so if I walk
The
past
animal
with a
that
big-
you're eating.
So if I walk past with a Big Mac,
Yeah.
knowing that it came from that cow in that video, would you have a problem?
The cow has the problem with it. It's
Well,
not
the cow's
me.
dead, so it can't have a problem.
How do you know the cow has a
The
problem?
cow that's going to be killed in order to replace that
okay,
burger.
but what about if it's ended
Hang on.
life
I
anyway?
can only answer one question at a time. The cow that's been killed to replace the cow that you're eating has a problem with it because you know, like supply and demand.
At the end of its life.
So someone else, another cow will get bred into existence to replace that. So what's your?
What about the cow's at its end of its life?
So I had to establish some boundaries there because if they're just shouting over and you can't hear what each other are saying, you're not going to get anywhere. I used to use this as a justification before I was vegan as well. I used to think, well, that animal's already dead, and yeah, it's really sad and horrible what they went through, but it's already happened, so I might as well just eat it now that it's there. But obviously now I'm wiser and I understand supply and demand. Essentially, if you're paying for an animal product, then you're demanding more of that. So if you're buying an animal's body parts, then you're sentencing another animal to death to replace that. Let's carry on.
That's not the reality of what happens, though. Because cows, when they're killed, they're 18 months old. Because if they're at the end of the life, then the meat is too tough.
But they know no
it's
better.
not profitable. Cows.
Yeah, they know no better. They
What do you mean?
reproduce anyway, though.
You know, they have like their own desires and
Yeah,
stuff.
but
like,
not as a desire as a human.
they try and escape slaughterhouses and they want to live with their
Cows don't
babies.
actually have enough neural pathways to feel emotion.
They do.
No, they don't.
Then why do they cry out for their babies when their babies are taken? Why do they try and escape pain? Why do they have desires? You know, you can train a cow to get treats and things like that. They show the same. They show the same kind of. They can show the same kind of emotions that we do.
Bro, I eat potatoes. I eat corn.
I don't know really why I said this. When I was saying that you can train cows to get treats, I was thinking about a particular experiment where they would give the cow like a puzzle to solve, and then when they solved it and they got a treat, they would act with excitement. But I didn't really explain that very well. Rather than him saying you can train a butterfly, because butterflies are also animals. They might not be as sentient as cows, but it probably would have worked more in his favour if he'd have said you can program a computer to do that because they're not sentient, so that would have like fit his narrative more. He's saying that they know no better. They do know that they want to live and they want to continue existing, and that's why they've got an instinct to survive. Even if they didn't know no better, they're vulnerable. They're saying that non-human animals, they can't defend themselves. That's not a good reason to exploit them and to subject them to cruelty and abuse and to kill them. In society, any other groups who are considered more vulnerable than us, we protect them and we take care of them and we look after them. People who are disabled or children or elderly people, and when other people abuse them, we look at those people with utter disgust. It's only in the case of farmed animals that we've been conditioned to believe that it's acceptable. But in all other situations, it's considered weak, pathetic, and cowardly to harm somebody that's more vulnerable than yourself. If man hurts a woman or a child, you know, in prison, these people need protecting because they're hated so much. But when it comes to farmed animals, there's this huge cognitive dissonance that people just don't see because they're so conditioned to believe that this is normal. I think this guy here, I eat potatoes. I think he's feeling a bit bad for his friend because his friend has said that he's vegan. He's just standing there not saying anything, looking a bit awkward. So yeah, I think he's kind of wised up to the fact that his friend's there and he's kind of arguing against his friend's moral or ethical principles. Let's carry on.
I'm not gonna lie, I eat corn. Like,
Jonathan Davis.
I don't even know who that is.
The corn singer.
Oh yeah. I eat corn. Like, I eat corn meat. Like, I ain't got a problem with vegans, but like, I choose to eat meat.
I choose to eat meat so I can live a healthy life.
What about if
Don't you think you can be healthy as a vegan?
What about if families need money, like farming? And
If what?
families need money, like.
People use that same excuse when human slavery was legal. They were saying, no, it's a profitable industry. We need money.
I think that's so. Wait, so question: are you comparing slaves
for
to
that
vegans?
reason that they were using.
Comparing slaves to cows.
And, we said, fuck the people who want the money. The people that are being exploited
Yeah.
are the ones that matters.
Yeah, but you can't
It's the
compare
victims.
slaves to veganism.
I'm not comparing slaves to veganism.
What about locally
I'm comparing
sourced
that
meats
reason
where
that
the
you're
cow-
using.
where the-
What I've done is I've taken his justification and I've applied it to a different scenario. The reason that I said human slavery is because animals in the meat, egg, dairy, fish, leather, fur, entertainment industries, they are absolutely slaves. They're enslaved by definition. If you're somebody's property, someone literally owns you, owns your body, you're a slave to that person. And it kind of bothers me a little bit when animal rights activists say, well, slavery used to be legal or slavery existed, because slavery does very much exist around us today, more than it ever has done. It's just not human slavery. I'm distinguishing them, but these guys, they haven't picked up on that. So they're saying, well, you're comparing slavery to veganism. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just taking the reason that you've used and applying it. But you could absolutely compare human slavery to non-human animal slavery because they're both slavery.
The animals are treated properly, you have a problem with that?
Yeah, but they're not.
They're
They're
treated
killed
nicely
inhumanely.
and then killed humanely.
Oh, it's killing them, treating them nicely when you
Like,
don't
if they
have to
a nice
kill them.
life and they're living on a farm and it's all fair.
If they have a nice life,
all fair trade,
if they have a nice life and they're happy, they value their life more and they don't want to
Yeah,
be
so do-
killed.
no, but do you
It's
have a
even crueler because you're taking away something from them that they value. You know?
Hungry sugar Macca's.
Yeah, Mackey's, they do a good McPlant meal.
If that's all the response that he can come up with to that, I'm hungry, should we go Mackey's? That tells you everything really, that he has not got a justification, so that's kind of what he's resorted to. Once you've kind of brought them down to that kind of level you are, where you're having a respectful conversation, you're both listening to each other, it's going back and forth, then you can maybe sort of bring it up a notch so that you're really hitting your point home. I'm not saying you have to be quiet the whole way through, but it's just to get them to initially sort of bring their energy down. I'm not sure what he meant by fair trade. I think he might have meant free range, because I think fair trade's like about like equality and equal pay, and it's like it's a human thing, not a non-human animal thing. When I'm saying that it's even crueler because they're enjoying their life more, I mean in that one aspect. I don't think you can really sort of compare, but you can certainly say, you know, in certain aspects this could be considered crueler than this. But yeah, I mean it's all unnecessary. Let's carry on.
Yeah, lads, you have to Macca's, you're hungry.
I need
No, you don't.
I'm not even involved.
No one needs meat. What do you need from meat?
Flavour.
Flavour.
All the vegan meat is disgusting. It's shit.
It's alright to be fair.
How many have you had?
Nah, the
How many?
corn kebabs are not.
Have you tried McPlant?
Yeah, I have.
Have you?
It's absolutely disgusting.
Why did you try it?
Vegan sausage rolls as well.
Nah, but
What made you like? Yeah, but what made you go and want to try that?
They just saw it on the menu.
you know what?
Right.
Should we go Macca's?
Even though you eat animals, you thought, oh, let's try that.
Yeah, because if I can eat animals, I can also not eat animals.
Sure. I was just wondering what gave you that like desire to.
I was just hungry and something.
I was genuinely curious as to why he chose to try the McPlant, because normally people just go for the stuff that they know that they like, and I was wondering if he'd perhaps watched something or someone had said something that had kind of led him to try it. He said it was just there, it was just on the menu. But I don't really know if I believe him, because I mean, there's got to be a reason. You don't just buy things for the sake of it. But yeah, I was just curious, and I think he didn't really understand why I was asking him. I think he kind of thought that I was saying, well, you can't eat vegan food because you're not vegan, or something like that. Obviously, that's not the case.
10 minutes later.
I mean, yeah, but doing them on vegan.
No, because you've paid for a chicken to be killed.
Oh.
Even a vegan diet, it's still harmful to animals.
Veganism isn't a diet, it's like a stance against animal exploitation and
But a
cruelty.
diet is harmful to animals.
Just like
Getting rid of which animals need to.
Okay, so it's pretty obvious now that they're just trying to provoke me and to get some kind of like emotional reaction out of me. And they're just not going to get it. I'm just not going to give that to them. There is an argument as to whether you should even like entertain these kind of people, because they're just looking for attention or some kind of reaction. And I think that if you're the kind of person who gets wound up by these kind of people and gets angry and lashes out, then I would say that it's probably best to ignore them. Otherwise, you're just kind of giving them what they want and feeding into that narrative of being some crazy vegan. But I do think that if you're able to stay completely unbothered and completely calm, then there definitely is a benefit in doing this, because I think that if it weren't for me standing there talking to them, even whilst they're eating the body parts of animals, I wouldn't have been able to spread that vegan message. I don't think that they should be let off the hook. I think that everybody should be held accountable. I've had it where somebody stood next to me eating KFC, obviously trying to like provoke a reaction, but then I've said to them, look, these are the chickens that you're eating, this is what happened, like, do you know what's happened? And I've described it to them as they're standing there. And I think that these people especially need to be held accountable. And if you're not reacting and you're just totally like serious and you're not getting annoyed or anything like that, it's like they don't know how to react and they're a bit like awkward, and then they'll tend to like have a bit of a conversation because they feel like a bit of an idiot. So yeah, I would say that there definitely is a benefit, but if you're going to get wound up, it's best to not. But then if you are getting wound up, I would probably say that you should ask who that anger is best serving. Sometimes people do need like a touch of reality, but if you're just telling someone to fuck off or whatever, it might feel good in that moment in time, but it's not going to do the animals any favours. So yeah, I do think that there is benefit in speaking to these people, especially if you're making content.
Are you wearing anything right now that vegan?
Yeah,
Your clothes?
it's all, nothing that I wear is from animals. Where's your other friends?
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't want to come over.
So he's just got bored and he's walked off. But yeah, this person here, this person is committed.
Do you think that the animal wanted to live more than you wanted to enjoy the taste pleasure of eating their body?
Yeah. However, as a Christian, Jesus ate meat as well.
But in the Garden of Eden, it was vegan?
In the Garden of Vegan, sorry.
Garden of Eden.
Oh, Garden of Eden.
Are you like a practicing Christian, or just like identify as Christian?
Yeah, so I just asked him this because I don't think he's a devout Christian if this has only came into the conversation like over 7 minutes into it after he's came back as well. And so I don't think that you really need to go down that route if he's not even a devout Christian anyway. I'm asking him some really tricky, like thought-provoking, difficult to answer questions while he's eating an animal. And I think he probably feels very uncomfortable now, but he's already committed to what he's doing.
I don't dislike vegans. I agree why they're doing it, but at the end of the day, it comes to personal preference.
You don't agree with it, because if you agreed with it, then you would be vegan too.
I do.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here. He agrees with why vegans are the way we are, and I'm saying, well, you can't, because if you agreed with it, then you'd be vegan as well. But yeah, it just makes me laugh how people say, I don't dislike vegans, or I haven't got a problem with vegans, because it was just so like random and out of the blue that he would say that. I think the reason is because he's trying to like extend an olive branch. I accept you, so please accept me. He wants me to say, I haven't got a problem with you as well. Carry on doing what you're doing, but I'm just not going to say that because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about the animals and what they're going through. Like when they were saying, would you have a problem with me? I brought it back to the animals and said, well, they would have a problem with it. Because I think sometimes non-vegans, they think that vegans are just trying to assert some kind of like dominance or like dictatorship over everybody else, and they want to tell people what they can and can't eat because they want some sort of control or whatever. But it's absolutely not about us. It doesn't matter whether it upsets me or not. It's not about me. It's not happening to me. When people come and eat animal products, or they post like a gif or a picture of like a steak or something, it's always like puzzled me because I see steak all the time. Like all I have to do is turn on the telly or go into the grocery store. I think it's actually probably an act of defiance, like, you know, you can't stop me because look, I'm doing it now. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Well, obviously, all I can do is talk to you and try and hold you accountable for what you're doing. But obviously, I can't stop you or anything. I think it's just like them trying to be like, I'll do what I want to do. I'm making a statement here. People are strange.
People enjoy meat.
It's a pleasure, isn't it? Yeah.
Like, fair play if you being vegan, I don't have a problem with that. But I like to go ahead and eat the meat.
Yeah, I know you do, but the issue is the animals don't like you to do that because they're...
Vegans aren't asking for anybody's approval or respect. They're asking for people to respect the animals.
What's the morally relevant difference between a non-human animal and a human? That means that we can do whatever we want to them and that it shouldn't be done to us.
Well,
It's thinking.
animals have a short lifespan. We have a long lifespan. That's one of the reasons.
We kill animals, let's say cows, they live for like 25 years, right? We kill them when they're 18 months old. What if somebody killed you at the same kind of fraction?
No, because
I think that would work out. Let's say humans, they live till they're 100 years old, so 4 times longer. So that would be the equivalent of a human child being killed at the age of 6. That's like 6% of their life.
what proteins do you get, from? Like, where would you get your proteins from?
I'm not like an expert on where nutrients come from, but protein's in pretty much everything anyway.
And where does that come from?
Plants. It's all plants.
It comes from animals mostly.
What do you mean?
It comes from ants.
I don't know what he meant there by it comes from ants. Protein all comes from plants, and that's where the animals get theirs. If you're eating animals, then you're just eating your protein that's been filtered through the body of an animal. I'm trying to show people that they don't have to be an expert on nutrition in order to not pay for animals to be killed. Eat what your current diet is. If that's working for you, eat the same things, but just substitute and make simple switches. If you're not worried about it as a non-vegan, why would you be worried about it as a vegan?
The way they're killed is not okay.
How should they be killed?
Euthanasia.
Euthanasia. You know, that only happens because it's in the animal's best interest.
I don't think he actually knows what euthanasia is. I should have probably clarified that.
But you don't agree with the way that they're killed anyway. So you're doing something that's not consistent with your values.
But I'm not going to stop eating meat. I don't really care. I only live one life. I don't care.
Why is it okay to take that away from somebody?
I mean, I think I phrased that poorly. He said, I only live one life. And when I said, why is it okay to take that away from somebody? What I meant was that animals also only live one life. So why is it okay to take that from them? Or I could have said, would it be okay for somebody to come and take your one life away from you? But yeah, I didn't phrase that the best way.
I like meat. I can go ahead and eat meat.
Yeah, but again, you're just saying it's just a pleasure thing. I like meat too, but I don't think that's a good enough reason to kill someone.
I'm trying to relate to him there because nobody went vegan because they stopped enjoying the taste of something. You just need to understand that that animal's life has more value than that pleasure that you're getting from eating them.
We shouldn't do whatever we want if it comes at the cost of somebody else. Fucking hell.
Fucking hell, indeed. I get people in this position all the time, and it's really sad because if they were ever at somebody else's mercy, they would be wanting the same mercy that they don't give to the animals. Why would they not give somebody who's at their mercy the same kind of consideration that they themselves would want if they were in that position? I just wish that people could experience what the animals are going through just for a minute, 5 minutes, because it's very easy to say I don't care when you're living your life and you're in a privileged position. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you agree or disagree with anything that I've said, if there's anything that you think that I've missed out. And as always, just thank you for all of your support. The people who comment constantly and say very nice things. It doesn't go unnoticed, and it keeps me going. It gives me fire to do what I'm doing. And of course, it helps the algorithm for the animals. I also wanted to say that speaking out for the animals is a huge passion of mine, and ever since I found out about the atrocities that they go through, ever since I woke up and became vegan, I don't think that there's ever been enough that I can do for them, and I feel that I've got a lot more to give. If I had the financial capacity to do so, I would just do this all the time, full time. Obviously, I can't get paid for doing this. So if anybody out there is a millionaire and they think that the work that I do is valuable and they want to invest in somebody who's trying to make a difference and defend the animals, if you've got I could probably live off 12 grand a year, 360 grand. So if anybody's got 360 grand in your savings account, then I will happily take that off your hands and just spend all of my time doing this. But failing that, if you haven't got 360 grand, please do consider joining my Patreon. You can join for £3 a month, I think £5 a month, £10. Have a look at the options, and if you have the capacity to do so, it really help me go a long way. Everything that I get goes into a pot, and every single penny is spent on the animals and me speaking out for them. I'm kind of experimenting at the moment. I want to do more with my Patreon in terms of what benefits people can receive. So I'm going to be putting a lot more early release videos, maybe doing some blogging, just whatever I can really. But alternatively, if you don't have the financial capacity to do so, no problem at all, because your support in sharing my video and commenting is very much appreciated. If you've got this far, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.